As much as I am still in complete shock about Luka Doncic being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, the NBA world moves on, and it moves on quickly. The Sacramento Kings are trading De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs in a multi-team trade that moves Chicago Bulls Zach LaVine to the Kings as well. A fascinating, absolute bomb of a trade in its own right. And while it does feel like it's a little bit overshadowed by what happened last night, this is still a massive deal and has big time implications on the now and the future of the league, and especially the future. A De'Aaron Fox Victor Wembanyama duo is the type of duo that can compete for multiple titles over the next half decade or so while Fox is still in his prime. And this is a fascinating deal that gives Victor Wembanyama that co-star that he has been searching for. I know he's only been in the league for a season and a half, but this is a fascinating one to talk about. Now, before we hop into it real quickly, I will just say, yes, my 2K channel got hacked. I am, as for right now, business is normal on this channel. I know a lot of y'all watch that channel and are here from that channel, so I do want to address that. It happens. It happened. It's my own fault, in all honesty. I clicked on a link I shouldn't have, and I'm trying everything I can to get it fixed, and I will provide y'all with some sort of updates when I have them on that. Go follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description if you're interested to hear what I have to say about that and stay updated. But that's not the point here. We're going to talk about this De'Aaron Fox trade here today, because that is the point of this video. As of right now, the information that we have is that there is, let me reload to just see if there's a even more in details being released. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure if this is the full trade, but the Kings are getting 3 first-rounders. I don't know which first-rounders they are yet. The full details should be unfolding a little bit more as the night progresses. I'm sure we'll get those details here in the next few minutes. But Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins, and Trey Jones are going to the Bulls. Jordan McLaughlin's going to the Spurs with De'Aaron Fox, and Zach LaVine is obviously landing with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox is landing with the Spurs. Now, where those first-round picks come from, I have to think probably San Antonio is giving those first-round picks to Sacramento. At least that would make sense. LaVine, if all the Bulls got for LaVine was Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins, and Trey Jones, that feels really bad. If they don't get anything else outside of those 3 players, none of whom are really, I don't think, key rotation players, even on a decent team, I think honestly LaVine has actually built up his trade value. So this feels to me like it would be a really unfortunate return for the Bulls, all things considered, if that's all they get. I get that you're getting out of a contract that is considered a bad contract around the league, but I don't think the LaVine contract is that horrible. So that's baffling to me. But obviously the biggest and most interesting aspect of this trade is the fact that De'Aaron Fox is now a Spur, and that puts De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama on the same team, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, here we go. We do have the full trade details. Perfect. This is what we wanted. De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin to the Spurs. The Kings get Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. 2025 Charlotte, 2027 San Antonio, and then 2031 Minnesota. That 2025 Charlotte pick could be amazing. Is that a protected pick? I don't even know. And then the Bulls get their own 2025 pick back, as well as Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter. So at least they got a first-round pick in giving up Zach LaVine. That's good. That makes that return significantly better. I will say, all things considered, for the Kings, they got 3 firsts, 3 seconds, and a player in Zach LaVine who is, I think, underappreciated around the league and can be a really good player. Like, all things considered, that is a decent return for De'Aaron Fox. I would say that's about as good as I think they probably could have hoped to get, considering that he made it clear he did not want to be in Sacramento anymore. And honestly, all things considered, I feel like all 3 of these teams, you can't like sit here and say, wow, that was a horrible deal, because if De'Aaron Fox was gone, the Kings did a pretty good job of salvaging what they could out of him. If Zach LaVine, if the Bulls wanted to get out of that contract and wanted to tank, which is clearly the goal for the Bulls, who have been, I think, for a while stuck in what I would call basketball purgatory. Let me close that wrong page. Let me pull up the NBA standings real quickly, though, because the Bulls have been in basketball purgatory for a while, and I think this puts them in a position where they can finally, I guess, fully commit to a tank. Now, they are the 9th worst record in the league right now, so they're going to have a tough time falling down too much, but with the Sixers playing better, the Trailblazers playing better, they have the opportunity to at least fall down to probably 7th worst record or so in the league, and maybe that gets even worse with half the season or so remaining. I doubt they pass the Pelicans, but the Pelicans have been playing good. The Raptors are decently competitive. Like, they could easily get to the 6th worst record in basketball. That seems plausible, and for the Bulls, that seems to be the goal, and at least they're finally doing something to rebuild towards the future, and they got a first-round pick out of it. They got their own first-round pick out of it, which is good. That is a positive for sure for Chicago. As a whole, though, the Kings are the winner. I mean, the Spurs are the winner of this trade. because they get that franchise co-star in De'Aaron Fox, a 25+ point per game scorer, one of the clutchest players in basketball. Now his shooting has been down this year compared to last, absolutely. But as a whole, that is a duo in De'Aaron and Wemby that can absolutely rule the league for a long time to come. Maybe not be the best team in the league, but they're going to be up there for sure for a Spurs team that is already pretty competitive. I mean, when we look at the way that the Western Conference is shaping up this year, the Spurs are currently the 12 seed, but they're only 2 games out of the play-in. And while this is a trade that obviously is made with long-term impact in mind, the short-term impact could be real as well. This is a team that, number one, should make the play-in because the Kings will fall out of the play-in, and I think they're probably better than the Warriors unless the Warriors make dramatic moves. Not to mention, we have no idea what's going to happen with a team like Dallas at this point. We just don't know. And then Phoenix, inconsistency. Timberwolves, same thing. They just lost to the Wizards. I know Anthony Edwards, but still, just there's a lot of inconsistency and a lot of question marks with a lot of these teams. So there is certainly an opportunity for the Spurs to not only make the play-in but make the playoffs this year. And I will tell you this right now: if you see Houston or OKC or one of those teams, Memphis, whoever it is, in the first round of the playoffs, none of those teams are going to be excited to see Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. That I can promise you. That is a scary duo, especially considering the honest truth is I think they did a great job in terms of the return, in terms of what they had to give up. Because realistically, look, they gave up Trey Jones, Zach Collins, I think Sidi Sissoko, and a bunch of first-round picks, but not a single actual key rotation player on the Spurs, which is actually pretty amazing. Like, I think they did a phenomenal job, all things considered. Let me pull up their basketball reference page real quickly, just so we can look at what the roster is going to be composed of now, because I think they did a really pretty amazing job, in all honesty, with building this roster, because they have a full rotation, a very full rotation. You have Chris Paul as your backup point guard. You have a starting lineup of something along the lines of De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, or Stephon Castle maybe starts at the 2 and Vassell starts at the 3. I don't really know. And then maybe Sohan at the 4, Harrison Barnes at the 4 potentially. I don't know. And then Wemby at the 5. And then you have other bench pieces. Chris Paul, one of those guys who's not going to be in the starting lineup. Julian Champagnie, Keldon Johnson. Like, they didn't give up much of their rotation at all. Malachi Branham's still an option. Like, they have legitimate depth now to their rotation. And while it's not probably an elite championship contending team this season, it certainly is a team that absolutely has the core now in Fox, Vassell, Wemby, and other filler potential valuable role players like Sohan, Champagnie. Obviously, Castle's a big part of the future. Real pieces to build a championship contender for years to come. Phenomenal job by San Antonio of getting a guy for Victor Wembanyama and setting themselves up for the future. And I'm very impressed that they managed to get this set up this early to where they're only halfway through Wemby's 2nd season and they are now ready to go for years to come. But that's exactly what you need to do when you have a superstar caliber player like Victor Wembanyama, is surround him with the pieces to succeed as early as possible and let him settle in so that he can get playoff experience early, so that he can learn what it's like to probably lose in the playoffs early in his career and prepare him to contend for years to come. It's a great job by the Spurs. Honestly, it's a good job by the Kings of getting a decent return for De'Aaron Fox, and it's a good job by the Bulls of finally actually committing to a rebuild and getting a first-round pick out of it as well. Fascinating deal, and honestly, a deal that for once, I would actually say isn't terrible for any of the 3 sides, and that is impressive. So, good job. This is an interesting trade. Certainly a big trade. Now, it's not Luka for AD, but it's a big damn trade in the NBA, and it's going to be fun to see how this one affects the rest of the season, especially for the Spurs. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.